Hi. By the early 19th century, the effects of Industrial Revolution were spreading from Britain to Europe and across North America, transforming agricultural nations into industrial economies. The change had been rapid and dramatic, bringing about a fundamental shift in the structure of economies. So, the focus of the economy was shifted from merchants, that is traders, to the producers and the owners of the capital. A new concept of capitalism developed with social and political issues. The ruling class of industrialist producers emerged. That's a new ruling class at that time emerged. That was the most noticeable change in the social setup. And there was a steady growth in the number of firms producing goods. Many of them were offering shares of their business for sale on stock market. So there was a competition. The market developed into a competitive market. However, as market economies developed and grew, new problems began to emerge. The economist Adam Smith warned there was a danger that large producers would dominate the market and operate either as monopolies or as cartels, fixing prices at a high level and keeping production low. Although regulation could prevent such practices in instances where only a few producers operated, they could easily develop strategies to distort the competitiveness of the market. Smith had assumed that men behaved rationally in an economy. But this also came into question as investors rushed to buy shares in companies whose worth had been exaggerated. This caused bubbles, contradicting the idea of a stable economy based on reasoned behavior. Leon Walras and Wilfred Pareto, they argued that the market economy would always tend towards equilibrium, which would in turn determine the levels of production and prices. The other economist, Alfred Marshall, he explained supply and demand and how these and prices interact in a system of perfect competition. The question of price was one that concerned many economists at that time, as it affected both producers and consumers in the new capitalist society. They began to see the value of goods in terms of their utility rather than the labor that added value to raw materials. The idea of marginal utility, the gain brought about by the consumption of a particular product, was explained in mathematical terms by William Jevons. Karl Marx argued that the inequalities of market economy amounted to an exploitation of the working class by the owners of capital. In the Communist Manifesto and his analysis of capitalism, Capital, Marx argued for a proletarian revolution to replace capitalism with what he saw as the next stage in economic development. A socialist state in which the means of production are owned by the workers, and an eventual abolition of private property. Although Marx's ideas were adopted in many parts of the world, market economies continue to operate elsewhere. Generally, economists continue to defend capitalism as the best means of ensuring prosperity, although tempered to some extent with measures to compensate for its injustices. An Austrian school of economic thought emerged, stressing the creative power of the capital system. The free market economy was soon to receive some hard knocks after the Wall Street crash of 1929. So, the theories of neoclassical economists and the Austrian school later resurfaced as the model for economies in the Western world in the late 20th century, and even came to replace most of the world's communist planned economies.